Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we have a little bit of a different meeting, so bear with me procedurally and everywhere else, but roll call of school board members. Everyone here is here except for Eric Useldinger, which is a noted absence and known absence. On to 4.0 communication reports. We don't have any tonight. So we're gonna skip right down to the consent agenda, 5.0. Any questions or discussions or anything pulled? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. 6.0, there was no citizens that wanted to speak to items not on the agenda tonight. So we're gonna move to 7.0, which is reviewing the superintendent applicants' information, decide on finalists, schedule interviews, the interview procedures and interview questions, and I'll turn it over to you, Lee. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for adjusting the time schedule. I know it was for Josh, but it's also for me because I have to do another meeting with Warren tonight. So thank you for that. Tonight, we're going to go through several things. We'll do them fairly quickly. We're going to review the interview questions. They were built last spring, and a number of you had input on them. Lynn and I worked on them. I think somebody else was with us too, Lynn. Who else? There were three of us, I remember anyway. And we got the question, maybe it was just two of us.
I think it was just us.
Just two of us.
Yep.
And so you've got a draft copy of those today. I'll talk about them. When we're done, I will collect them. We always do that because there may or may not be an internal candidate. And as a result, we want to be sure that everybody gets a chance to have a fair shot. They are public information, and anybody that really wants a set, as soon as we finish the interviews, I'd be glad to give them a copy of everything. So secondly, we're going to talk about the interview schedule themselves. You've got a draft of the days that we had selected before. We had selected 2 days for the first round and 1 day for the second round. We'll talk about those based upon the decisions you make about candidates a little bit later. Then at the end, we will talk about the candidates themselves. And we had a review team. I sent you the vetting process. Our team of 5 people went through all of the candidates. We have recommendations for you. You got a copy of the profile that you built. This is what you were advertising for. And so based upon that and the vetting work that we did, we'll have recommendations that I'll present to you as well. For the public, there are redacted resumes here that we will hand out when we start that discussion. You're welcome to look at them. They were redacted by a lawyer by statute. They sucked the ink out of my printer, so there's not a ton of information there, but this is what the law allows. So I brought a copy for you all to see. Then at the end, we'll do anything that comes up that we need to take care of, any other process that needs to be decided upon. So we should get everything wrapped up today for next Monday's first round of interviews. Sound good?
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the interview itself. I'm assuming, are you going to use this room? Is this where you want to have the interviews?
Yes.
Room 195, right?
Yes.
Okay. Are you interested in doing district tours? Sometimes districts will provide a tour for about an hour or so. Might take them to different buildings. Sometimes kids are involved, the honor society or student council or something, along with the principal and that kind of thing. That's offered. Some districts do, some districts don't. Totally up to you. We can talk about that. You already have received a huge amount, one of the largest community survey responses that we've had in the last year. So as far as the stakeholder input, you've received that. So When it comes to the interviews, I think you had last year talked about and decided that you were going to do the interviews that you'd already received that. So if that changes, you'll need to let me know. And then the way typically it would work. So let's say you've got, I don't know, 6 interviews, whatever they are. 1 hour for the interview and then a 15-minute, it's not break, but a 15-minute period in between. 2 reasons for that. The first is that it allows you to finish writing your notes and the process that I'll talk about with the interview questions in a minute about how you can quickly jot down your responses to a candidate's answer to the question that you can then refer back to that would help you in terms of putting things all together. It's also a piece of information that I'll take and create a spreadsheet for you so that it's one of the tools that you can use in decision making as well. So we can do that. And if you would pick up the questions, then we can talk about them first. And then we can go back and finish up talking about the interview setting. These were built then last spring. We did 2 rounds. We were getting closer. We were at this point last year. And these are the questions here. There's the question, and then there is a rating on the right. There's an EMD in there. We don't pay any attention to the T at this point. It means timed out. That means if the candidate doesn't answer the question, they talk too long, don't get to the final one, they don't get any response at all or whatever. And in 6 years, I've never had anybody get to that point, but that's the process they've been using. E stands for exceeds your expectations or your requirements. M meets your expectations. D does not meet your expectation or does not meet, you're disappointed in their answer. So the initials ahead of it is who asks that question. So I inserted you in just a round robin process. And we went through this last year using the profile that we had, and we had selected 15 questions, which is a good number if you get good responses back. You will see candidates typically will go one of 2 ways. They will use their time carefully, or they'll slip into either talk too much, don't get to the end, and then rush at the end, or they talk too little and they're done in 30 minutes. To help you with that, I will actually hold up signs as we go through the process. I'll be in the back of the room and I'll let you know just by holding this in the air so only you can see it that there are 30 minutes left. If the candidate's talking too long, Lynn can say something graciously like, we have 16 questions. We're at question number 3. We probably should pick up the pace a little bit as a gentle way to kind of say you're talking too much. So these are the questions then. If you want to talk about, let's talk about them by number. And then I'll try to answer any questions. And if you want to modify them, you can. Or if you want to toss it back to the drawing board, it was Lynn and I think, that put them together last spring. So at this point, Lynn, I'll let you host a discussion and see what the board would like to do.
Any questions, concerns, discussion around the first round of interview questions?
I'm finishing reading them all.
I think maybe it'd be helpful then if you just go, just as Lee stated, go, 1 through 15 and just see if we need to. If the board has any, that way you don't have to read ahead. We can just go
Yeah.
1 and say, are we good? 2,
Okay.
say we're good. I think just a reminder, Lee reminded, but I was involved in the process with Lee last year, and just a reminder to the board, the way that this was put together, there was a motion to have Lynn at the time as the vice chair to work directly, and we focused on some of the things from what came back on the survey, as well as that. Help me out, Lee.
The profile.
It was, yeah, the board profile where we all rated things and kind of put these together. So, but if I could just make a suggestion, if we just go 1 through 15
Sure.
and see if there's
Absolutely.
any changes as we go.
Okay. Question 1.
Good question.
Okay.
I'm good. Good.
Question 2.
Really like it.
Question 3.
I like that question.
We're silent. I'm gonna keep going.
Yep.
Okay. Question 4? Question 5?
I guess, looking at that, 5 and 2 are kind of the same,
Yeah.
are pretty similar on here. I don't know. That's how I see it, I guess.
They do seem similar. They have a couple of different words, but. We probably interpret them pretty close to the.
To the same thing, and you
same
might,
thing, right? Or are you
I
seeing
don't-
something?
I,
different?
see
it differently.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I see it, yet per Josh's point, they are kind of identical, but I think we want to challenge the candidate to be able to answer both
Two
of
of them.
those to see, for
Sure.
example, if you're asking me if I answer something in question 2 and now question 5 and I'm answering the same thing I brought to the board or the same answer as 2, I'm giving for 5, well, then that's a red
Red
flag for
flag.
me. So I think we should, I feel that we should keep it and see how the candidate reacts to that.
To me, 2 is more broad, could apply to a lot more things.
Sure, doesn't have to be you in
Right.
this position.
Right,
As it does in number 5, it's
Correct.
specifically a position.
correct.
yeah.
Got it. I see that. Just on the interviewee side, those would seem very similar to me. I see what you mean.
Number 6?
Yeah.
Yep. Number 7?
Important.
Number 8?
Mhm.
Number 9?
I guess for 9, my thoughts is maybe we should add on there, and how would you implement?
Hmm.
Or can you give an example?
Of how you would do that.
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah,
Okay, I can make those changes, update them. And by the way, I will get you copies of these in advance. So you'll have them.
Unless there's other thoughts to the board, but I think
No, yeah,
that's a pretty important
That's
question.
good. Important.
Follow-up,
Yep.
yeah.
It's important,
Number 9, correct?
correct.
Yep.
And that kind of goes to number 10, like
Okay.
the second part of number 10 has that,
Yeah, but 9 doesn't.
9 doesn't, so
If you just reword. 10
Exactly.
To look the same as, or excuse me.
9
9 to look like 10.
to look like 10
The
with the last
back
sentence
side of
there.
it.
Got it?
It's
Yeah.
like we're talking in code.
I know.
And we are, but weird.
Any questions, concerns on 10? Okay. 11?
Yes.
I almost wonder if 11 should go before 9, just for a different flow.
Yeah,
But
as you're talking on that.
yeah.
10 and then again.
does that
All
make
that
sense?
can be done.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want,
Yeah, I
Yes.
think moving 11.
11 before 9,
After 8.
okay, so take 11 up before 9?
before
Yep.
9,
Yeah.
right before 9.
So 11 would be the new 9.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, how about number 12?
Mhm.
I'd like to see it. 12, examples.
That's what I was gonna
Examples.
say, or how they've done it in the past.
Yep.
Not just their ideas, but how they've succeeded.
I will, I've got that. Thanks, Amanda. And I'll, when I redo these, rebuild them and get them back to you. If you see other things, either let me know and or I'll have I can pull my computer out. And between Nancy and I, we can have them rebuilt. I'll be here early next Monday, so we can figure that out. Thanks.
How about number 13?
I think number 13 kind of the same as number 12, like,
Yep.
how have you done it in the past? How have you succeeded in doing that?
So you think it's the same question, or you would like to see examples?
I would like to see examples of how they succeeded, not just their ideas, but their implementation and how it worked.
examples of how they've done that. Okay.
I think we're gonna, and then into 14 is gonna be the same thing.
Okay.
I'd like to see the same
Yep.
thing for 14.
Mhm.
14, the same thing?
Yep.
Yep, so
Examples.
12, 13, and 14, all examples.
You might have candidates that have never
Interesting.
had that experience, so.
Well, but
Yeah.
if they're interviewing though, they should be able to, if they haven't had that experience, they should be able to turn that and be able to still add.
Should be able
answer.
to-
Draw on
Draw.
another experience, maybe not in
Right.
this position, but
Right.
in something.
Something else.
Sometimes when candidates come in that may not have the experience that the question is seeking, you as discerners might be able to look at them and I would expect a response that would be something to the effect of, I've not done that before, but if I were in that situation,
Right.
this is what I would do.
Mhm,
Yeah.
Correct.
And I think that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Because everybody may not have experience with all the things you're looking for, but you want to find out how they respond to the circumstances. I think that's what most of this is about. So
Yeah.
So Lee, could you adjust those questions rather than, so the board, we don't have to rebut if they, hey, I don't have that experience, that it's already captured in the question that we ask? Rather than give examples, or do we just leave it?
No, I'll rewrite all of these and get them back to you.
Okay.
And I've got all of the notes that you've given me already in here. So
Okay.
I think when you see them, you'll be okay with them.
Okay.
Sounds good. Yep.
So any other thoughts on 14? Okay, 15?
Nope.
For general, okay.
You want to do round 2 right away then, and we could adopt them both at the same time?
Yep. So we'll do the same. We'll just go question by question, a little more detailed. We'll give you a little more time. Round 2, question number 1.
I'm not so sure that that belongs as the first question, but I guess I would lean on Lee. It's a question, but I don't know if that's the first question to kick off the second interview with. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I really want to ask why, but I don't think I can. Because you'll say too much.
Some of the reasons, some of the reasons that this shows up often is that when somebody walks out of an interview, they'll go, "Cal, I wish I would have said
Yeah.
Yeah.
such and such," or, I really blew it on that. I didn't share this or whatever. And this provides
An opening.
remedy.
Something they've.
An opening
something
to-
they've been
Yeah,
thinking about.
and it's
Yeah.
also meant to be a softener for the interview, because people come in nervous.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm
And
good
it's a
with- I'm
way
good
to
with it.
kind of,
I kinda
yeah.
like
I just
it,
needed to
actually.
be sold on where it should be. It's-
yeah,
It's
yeah,
important-
and well, that's why
important
it's
to talk
there,
about.
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm good then.
Question number 2.
Wow, that one's a big one.
Yeah.
I
like it.
Yeah. Uh,
You'll see that these are more in depth.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
It's by design.
Sure.
Right.
The first round is designed to sort them out. The second round is to really do a deep dive
Sure.
into it, yeah.
Okay, number 3.
There are less questions, more in depth, I guess
Yeah.
is the right way to say
Take
it.
longer to answer
Yep.
probably. Yeah, that one's good too, I think.
Number 4.
Wondering if for not only it's asking for examples of how it would be implemented, I'm wondering if we shouldn't also suggest in there examples of what they've,
How you have.
how they have.
Yeah.
If there's a way to word that, Lee, we're asking them how they would implement it, but also how have you implemented something?
Got it.
Yeah, their successes or failures. and
Yeah,
trying to
or that's a
figure out
better way
what-
of putting it.
Have or-
successes
or
and
would.
failures. Yep.
Yep, got it.
Number 5.
This one we could almost get more specific on and ask about a program that we have currently, I feel, or like something that we're trying to.
Or one of the issues we currently face within that realm.
Yeah.
They maybe would go about it.
Yeah. Like how to grow that.
Yeah. I have an idea, I can't say it out loud.
I know what I mean.
You,
Well, all we have to do is.
Yeah.
Is be adjusted and
Yeah.
Amanda, you can provide that input to Lee.
Okay, I think, yeah, like Lindsay is saying though, I can, in
You
the
wanna be
question, I can see
specific?
one specific area where I would love to hear how they could, do that or their ideas.
okay,
Or what their experience. maybe,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some-
some
yeah.
speak on this a little
Mhm.
bit. further.
I will reach out.
Uh,
Hopefully I get home tonight and then I'll reach out to you tomorrow sometime. How about that?
So do we need to, I'm trying to keep track of this because I'm gonna make the motion afterwards. I'll tell everybody, but do I need to keep track of that number? That one?
5.
I've got it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll write all my notes and I'll rebuild this. And within a few days, I hope to get you a copy for review. If there's adjustments, we can make it before Monday. I will have my computer along and I'll be here early. So if there's something that really has to be adjusted, we can adjust it at the last second if you're okay with it. So.
Mhm.
Well, Lindsay, we can email each
Yeah.
other and then. or
Yeah,
talk
I'll
afterwards
email
and
you.
then
Yeah,
get
talk
it together.
after.
See if we're on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Number 6.
Yep, good question, I think.
Number 7.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Yeah, I like that. I guess one comment is that last half of number 8. I really like that. And I think my preference would be to focus on that throughout several questions, in the second interview.
Are you talking about
like-
the last sentence?
The last sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was just, I think that's important as we go through quite a few of the questions that it really seems.
As you begin to look at these and we come back together on Monday, if you want to make a last second change, we can do that. As long as the same question is asked exactly the same to each candidate, then it's fair.
Sure.
Okay.
So that's not a problem. I mean, don't feel like you're being locked in to anything in particular. I mean, hopefully we aren't doing a wholesale change because we'll be making a lot of copies. So each of you will have a set of these questions for each candidate to fill out. And that'll be an awful lot of paper, so I don't want to kill a bunch of trees. So,
Trying to settle in.
yeah.
All right. Number 9.
I think, can I say a word? So I think we need to add something to that is talked about a lot. Artificial intelligence, I think that should be part of their question.
Got it.
Could you word
Yeah.
that in there?
Yeah, I got
somehow?
it.
Yeah,
already.
I
Yep.
think that would be good in that question.
Okay.
Yep, I got it. I think you'll
There's
like it.
another question that was around that. I think that you could maybe, if I remember
Like the
correctly. Yeah.
guidelines. Yeah.
Okay. Number 10.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's good.
Number 11. Number 12 is the
Less questions. The expectation is much more in-depth and qualitative type of answers. So I will rebuild these and get them back to you.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about the interview schedules then. We won't have, we'll adjust them as we get going. Once you decide whom and how many candidates you're going to interview, we can adjust, but we set it up for one date, March 4th. And whoops, I didn't change this May thing down below here. It should be March 4th. Down below there, my error. We had originally decided to start at 8:30 and then an hour and 15 minutes with a lunch break in the middle there. And then at the end, we would deliberate and decide on second round candidates and that kind of thing. That's kind of the schedule. Is that basically the schedule you want to stick to, that one day long? You can modify it in a little bit depending upon the candidates, but
I think one day,
Mm-hmm.
all in agreement.
Yes.
Yep.
okay, room 195, the high school. And I will add the address in. The address on there for me. We're gonna come back to that in just a little bit here. And then the same thing is true for round 2 is Monday, March 11th, 1 week later. And we had the draft had 3 slots in it starting at 3 o'clock. If we do the second round, you still there at the same, am I in the ballpark on this?
Do we want to start a little
I
earlier?
didn't block my day accordingly, but I will change that. I had the front half on again. I didn't notice that was the,
Did we want to keep around the same time on March 11th, everyone, or did we want to go earlier? Or
I would have an easier time earlier, but that doesn't mean that we have to do that. I just didn't block my schedule the right way. I'll make that change, but at right now.
I don't know, deliberating at 7 after that whole day and people, yeah, I don't know.
Well, we have it built around, just, I mean, the second interviews,
Okay.
he has it built right now. Essentially bringing 3 candidates to.
right,
Touche, okay,
the-
yeah.
The second interview.
Yep, that's fine. I'll accommodate.
If it needs
myself.
to be a little bit earlier, I think
I really have no
doesn't-
scheduling conflict.
right.
if
That's
somebody's
okay.
got a conflict, let's adjust it.
You have time.
Yeah.
This is primarily to let the public know when you're going to be doing that, and your obligations are to 3-day postings.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So if you get through the first round interviews, then if you wanna, that after the first round, we'll talk about the second round. Whether you wanna change it, modify it,
Yeah.
whatever you wanna do, you can do that, and then it's just all about posting, so. This was a draft, basically just a placeholder,
Yeah,
and time isn't an issue for me, so it's whenever you wanna do it is okay.
so let's just keep the date,
Date is fine,
11th.
yeah.
Dave,
the 11th,
Date
and
is
then we'll
fine.
figure out the time.
Okay,
and maybe we can address that next Monday anyway, as well.
We can.
We'll know better as a board.
Right.
On.
yeah,
How many we would want to.
yeah.
Right,
And again, the only thing that's restricting you from making modifications to any of this is the 3-day notice for meeting, so,
sure.
okay. Excellent, we're gonna come back to that in a little bit here then. Now, when we do interviews, one of the things I want to talk about, I know we're live streaming today, and hello, is the fact that live streaming interviews creates an unequal playing field. It has been my experience in the past that candidates have used this to their advantage and to others' disadvantage. And so in the pursuit of equity, I think it would be really important if you want to record it and then post it later, that's fine. But live streaming, I would strongly suggest you do not do that. I know that that's important to your district, but I think the most important thing is to make sure that whatever you're doing for one candidate is the same for the other candidate. Secondly, the way the room is set up can be helpful or distracting. Candidates, I was just telling Nancy, my peripheral vision, I can see the middle of the aisle behind me on both sides. So anybody who moves their arm picks up a piece of paper or anything as a distraction. And typically what I want to do is to create an environment that brings you closer to the candidate and puts anybody that is in the audience behind them, so they aren't distracted at all, that they have your 100% attention. You'll see what's going on behind them, but they won't. Then the people that are in the audience, they say, well, I don't want to look at the back of their head. He's an old bald guy, what, you know? And what we'll do is we can set up a camera so that they can see the candidate, turn that TV off and have it on one or two over here so people can still see the front of their face as they're giving the answers. And I think that would be an equitable approach to making sure that you've got an intimate setting. Roll this around tighter so that we're within 6-8 feet.
So like have us
I would
against
su-
that wall. and
I
then
would
have the rest of
suggest
it like
going,
this?
yes, I would
Okay.
suggest going this way, roll this in tighter, bring the candidate up tight, and then have the people behind. I think that way, you, not only can you accommodate plenty of people, but it's just a better setting. Then I will meet the candidate at the door and visit with them, and I'll tell them that you're gonna have one answer. This is how many questions there are going to be. There'll be a set of questions that I'll lay on the table in front of you. So you can look through them, leave the questions when you're done. There'll be a bottle of water there for you, kind of thing, et cetera. You can take notes. They're gonna take notes. Don't be disturbed by that. And then I'll bring them in and introduce them. At that point in time, it'd probably be typically they'll say hi or maybe walk around, shake your hand, introduce themselves, whatever, and then they'll sit down. Lynn will have an opening to go through with each candidate, and then we'll proceed with the questions. Each question had that EMD thing behind it, and here's how that works. We can do it two ways. We can do it electronically. I see you all got your laptops. I can send it to you electronically, and then you can enter them electronically, hit the send button, and somebody in our office in St. Peter will collate them. And at the end of the interview, send me a spreadsheet. The second way is that the problem with that, in my opinion, is you can't write your notes on them. And I think, to me, the handwritten notes are really important because the little things that you see and do and you jot notes are really important. So what I would recommend that you do is I'll give you the questions with the EMD, put a check mark, exceeds, does, meets, disappoints, whatever. And then I will take those back and I'll build a spreadsheet in the back of the room. And then at the end of each interview, we'll give you your notes right back to you. So that then I'll build a spreadsheet for each candidate. That'll be a second piece of information for you. You'll actually have several pieces of information to think about when you decide. The first will be their papers, their resume, their references, everything you've already seen and been studying. The second is your notes that you made during the interview. The third will be the EMD. It'll be amazing to you, I think, when you get to the end at how similar your responses will be to certain questions that almost everybody said, well, yeah, that was a great answer. And you'll see it by all of the E's that are marked or whatever. And finally, and the most important is your impressions. What is it that you're saying? So you got 4 major pieces of information to consider as you talk about candidates. So if that's all right, that would be my expectation. Then when the interview is done, I'll get a paragraph for you, for the closing as well. Then I'll make sure that we get the candidate out, et cetera. During the interview, I'll have the 30-minute sign, a 15-minute sign, a 5-minute sign, and a 0 that time is out. And it'll be up to Lynn to be the sheriff, so that everybody gets the same 60 minutes. And if they need to be slowed down or they need to be sped up a little bit or whatever, and either Nancy or I will be in the room. I'm assuming you'll be here. And we'll be able to watch and keep track of the time. In the meantime, I'll be meeting the next candidate outside, and we'll probably maybe put them in the conference room, that table or something like that, so that we shuffle candidates back and forth. And then there'll be a 15-minute break so that you can finish writing your notes, finish doing the, whatever it is that you want to do, we'll collect your responses. And then you'll have a fresh set of papers for the next candidate. I'll bring the second candidate in and we start the process all over. And when that one's done, we will have built the spreadsheet and we'll hand that first round of questions back to you. And that's the cycle that we'll go through. Depending upon what the schedule is, we did write in a lunch break of, I think, 30 minutes, if I remember right, and we'll get that figured out. So that's the logistics. Now I'd like your responses and see what you think and what you'd like to do.
Any thoughts from the board members?
I'll start. I think, the room. I just recommend that we go by Lee's recommendation.
Yeah.
I don't know what others think. I think it's important to talk about, the live streaming though. We just got surveys back. So I'm prepared to make a motion not to live stream. But I want to talk about it with the board first. We got,
I think to be fair and equitable to all those involved, that's the only way to go about it. You
I
can't
would
have
agree.
live streaming and have
Yeah.
a candidate, yeah,
Letting
maybe
them see
watching
answering
what's happening. Yeah,
how-
that's not
that
okay.
seems very
Yeah.
unfair,
yeah.
so.
So Lee, do you make,
Recorded.
do I need to make, should that be a motion or is that just something that we could just, we're
You
deciding?
know,
as a
in
board?
light of your current stance on live streaming, I think you probably should take board action. Typically, it wouldn't matter to me. It's really up to you. You guys are excellent at keeping record and sharing what you're doing with the community, more so than almost any board I work with. I think that's important. If that's the case, then record it. And when you're all done, then post them so that the public still gets access to everything
Yeah.
and you aren't hiding anything, because everything you're doing is in an open meeting and in front of everybody to see.
So hearing that, I'm going to make a motion.
Yes.
That we do not live stream. Let's see,
Not live
First-
stream first round.
first round interviews,
Second round.
second round interviews. I'll just leave it vague as that.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Hi.
I,
Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Does that have to have a number?
We're all good?
Yes.
The process sound okay then overall?
Yes.
Well, I can't remember if we decided last year or not. Do the candidates get to have their questions beforehand?
No, we hand it to them as they sit down.
Okay.
Or, we'll reset the room. In other words, we'll pick up the water bottle and put down a new set of questions, or, they should leave the questions there. What I've seen is that candidates will write on them and do things. So we'll have a set of questions for
Okay.
them. So they can look at them. And the reason why, I found that candidates will get a little nervous or excited, and they may not hear. This room is dead in terms of sound. It's meant to be that way. It's good for recording. But it's hard let's just say that they don't hear the question well, you're gonna get a bad answer.
Yeah.
If they've got the question in front of you and you ask it and I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. And then we'll just collect them after the fact.
I do have a question just for support. So Jason, of course, we're able to do it, but are you gonna go back to the old way we've done things where you just video it and then we'll post it at a later date? Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess that would be, doesn't have to be a motion, but I would recommend that we go back to the old way of doing things. We don't need to be messing around with Facebook or YouTube or what have you and say, well, it's not recording. We used to be in here, we just would record it with an iPad and then we can figure out what we're gonna do after that. Bottom line is we just need to make sure that we're recording it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
That-
posting it
That
later.
we're transparent and it's public record and open at a later date, but I guess I would recommend, I know we got all the bells and whistles, but I don't want to mess around with bells and whistles, just,
Jason, is what I was describing for the interview, having a camera up here and
Posted by 5.
having it only on some screens for the audience to see.
Well-
That's doable. Cool.
You wouldn't want to see what they said in the first round.
So we're good. Any other questions about the interview itself? Good to go.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Then let's talk, it's time for us to talk a little bit about candidates. You can, as we talk about these, you can start passing those. We had, for the public, we had 6 weeks, I think, a little over 6 weeks of advertising. There were 5 candidates who applied. The MSBA does a extensive review and has a team of people like me that have done this for a long time. Go through the candidates. We compare them against the profile that you've built, and you have a copy of that. We take a look at their background, we take a look at their records and compare their records against what we can find. We do a quick social media sweep. We don't do an in-depth one, but we do a fairly, we covered like 4 different platforms. There are many more that we, it's just not possible for us to get to at this time. We do vetting from an educational standpoint, so we aren't doing criminal record checks necessarily or anything like that. In our business, if we don't know the candidates, we probably know somebody who does. Or if they're unknown to us, then we work hard to reach out to try and find out about the candidates. Then after the closing of the opening happens, then we get together. And we review all of the information that's been shared with us and talk about your district, that what we know about your district, what the profile is that you've built, what we found out about their capabilities, what you're looking for regarding experience, et cetera, et cetera. And then we made some recommendations. And out of the 5 candidates, our team will recommend to you 3 candidates for you to consider interviewing. You don't have to interview them. You can throw them out and pick the other 2. You can mix and match, pull in some of the ones we don't recommend, eliminate some of the ones we recommend. It's totally your call. All we're saying is that these, I think you should have consideration for in an interview based upon the work that we've done. So what I will do is talk about the candidates. And when we discuss candidates, we want to be sure to do, as we talked about last spring, we talk about them by the letter designation. For the audience, each of the candidates were given a letter, and rather than their identity is protected by statute. They are until the candidate has been named as a finalist, their information can never be released. The board is under obligation to not share any of that information. And so we'll talk about candidates by letter designation. They won't talk about their towns or anything like that, or what school they work for, or anything in order not to give away their identity. Once they have decided who they want to offer an interview to, and that motion is passed, they'll actually make the motion saying, I'd like to offer an interview to ABCD, whatever the letters are, and that motion will be passed using letter designations. Once that's done, then I'll release their name, their job title, and the town that they work for, and that'll become public.
Will you do that tonight?
Oh, yeah, we'll do it right here at the table, just
Okay.
within
Okay.
moments of the time you make the.
That's not part of, so the motion will go through and then there doesn't need to be an additional motion. That's just.
No, you make the motion based upon the letters designations.
Right.
Yep.
And then I will release the names to the public. I would ask a favor of the audience that social media has a way of outstripping my capacity of phone candidates and tell them in person. Sometimes it hasn't worked well because it's created problems. A candidate may find out that they were selected when in fact they weren't, because you can't put anything on the internet that's not true. So if you'd give me 10 minutes afterwards to make phone calls before you do whatever you do, that would be appreciated, but it's totally up to you. So here are the candidates that I would like to share with you, and I'll use their letter designation. These are in no particular order at all. This is a review of the candidate, and the first candidate I want to talk about is candidate C, as in Charlie. They have experience as a superintendent, a principal, a teacher, and a coach. They hold licensure in as a superintendent, principal, and teacher, but not a Minnesota license. They are licensed in another state. Minnesota, by the way, has reciprocity for a provisional license for superintendents that come into the state. They think it's a year or whatever. I don't remember the exact details, but licensure typically is not an issue. Education for candidate C is a doctorate, master's, and a bachelor's of science. In the candidate's own words, their reason for interest in your position: I have always looked for challenges in my professional career, whether it was coaching, teaching, or being a school leader. I have always believed that growth happens when we challenge ourselves spiritually, emotionally, and professionally. East Grand Forks Public Schools brings curiosity and energy for me as a district leader that is different from what I've experienced in my career. The idea of working with a team of school leaders as well as department leaders has my attention in a positive way. References described candidate C has demonstrated the most important ability in being an excellent educational leader, the ability to communicate with staff, colleagues, school board, and community members, making strong connections which leads to an effective organization. Candidate C is a professional, respectful, honest intellectual, and makes other people comfortable, a true person of character. Candidate C is very creative in their approach to improving our district and has a very positive outlook and sense of humor. MSBA's recommendation is that candidate C is experienced, successful school superintendent, is widely respected for providing exemplary leadership in their district and region. Candidate C is a leader who understands the value of building positive relationships with all stakeholders. C is a visionary leader that is committed to kids and education and is well-versed in school finance and district management. Candidate C consistently demonstrated the skills and assets that East Grand Forks schools are seeking in their new superintendent and deserves your serious consideration. This candidate meets all of the hiring criteria established by the school board and has expressed an interest to interview if called. The next candidate that I'd like to address is candidate B. Candidate B as in Baker. Candidate B has experience as a superintendent, principal, and as a K-12 school counselor. The licensure, Minnesota superintendent, principal, and K-12 school counselor. Education is a 6th year certificate, master's, and a bachelor's of science. In their own words, their interest in your position: I'm interested in the superintendent position at East Grand Forks because I would have the opportunity to join some of the best and brightest people in our state. I'd be coming to a school community with enormous pride and support where the sky is the limit. I want to come in and do all that I can to support students, staff, and family. I believe this is an opportunity for someone to come in and be part of something special. I hope to get that opportunity here. References described candidate B as someone who is relatable, accessible, fair, consistent, and loyal. The references also describe the candidate as eager to learn, willing to work with others and find solutions, and the candidate understands the characteristics of a strong district and is always interested in doing what is best for the district. Over time, candidate B has made significant adjustments in leadership style to become a more effective leader, willing to make room for other people and to support them. MSBA recommends that candidate B be considered for an interview and that they meet the hiring criteria established by the school board and has acknowledged the desire to interview if offered. The third candidate that the team would like to recommend for your consideration is candidate D, as in dog, candidate D. This candidate D has experience as a superintendent, assistant superintendent, a dean of students, a teacher, and a coach. The licensures, Minnesota superintendent, principal, and teacher. Education is 6th year certificate, master's, and bachelor's of science. The candidate's reason for interest in this position, in their words: I'm interested in being part of your team and the next leader of your district because you have a rich history and a strong programming to build on. The goal is to bring my experience to your district to maintain fiscal stability while working to ensure that offerings for students continue to be relevant and high quality. I believe in collaboration, operating with integrity, and working to find solutions to challenging situations through creative problem solving. References state that candidate D is a super active leader in their school district and community. D is viewed as a calm, approachable leader who always adopts a collaborative approach to working with the various audiences in the school district. Words used to describe D's work include knowledgeable, professional, driven, humble, always positive, fair, caring, unmatched work ethic, responsible, and strong when needed. MSBA's recommendation is D built a successful career as a school superintendent, highly respected, and meets the hiring criteria that you've established and is interested in an interview if offered. Those are the three candidates that we recommend you consider. Again, it's up to you whom you want to offer an interview. You want to offer interviews to all five or one or two or whatever, it doesn't matter. So I'll answer any questions you have, and then I think the best way to probably begin to approach this is to visit as a board about, are there candidates that you're leaning toward? You know, is there a candidate or two or three that you think you can all agree on or whatever? And when you get to the point where you're kind of feeling like candidate, whatever, J is one of the candidates that you'd like to offer an interview, you can set that aside, J, okay? And then talk about each one and see what you think. See if there's support for them. That's probably the easiest way. I would not vote or do anything like that. Just who are you leaning toward, and you can walk your way through A, B, C, D, whatever.
I think we'll do it just like we did the interview questions, and I'll walk down, starting with A. If we wanted to have any discussions on candidate A.
It was not on my list.
Candidate A was not on my list.
It's not on my list.
No, they're at the bottom of mine.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Candidate B,
B was on my list.
B was also on my list.
Yes, B's on my list. What was that, Brandon?
I just said on my list. That's a recommendation.
Was not on my list.
Okay.
Candidate C was on my list.
He was not.
Yep.
He's not on yours?
Oh, he's on my list.
He's on yours?
They're like in the middle for me.
I have a question then. So we're not.
No, we're just discussing.
Already discussion, I guess, rather than a question. So we're already through 3. And we have board members for individuals that aren't not on their list. So I think we need to be respectful as a board. You know, we're not, yes, we're voting, et cetera, but we have a board member that's saying not on my list. I think we need to talk about it.
Okay,
That's just my.
We're also,
thought.
we're so short a board member, obviously, you know, that's tricky. If, you know, you had 2 say not on my list, that would change the discussion. quite a bit, right?
That's my point. I mean,
Yeah.
if we have somebody not on the list, we've got to talk about that. It's
okay.
it's clear.
So let's go back up to B. So, candidate B was not on your list, Josh. Can you expand on that?
I don't know if you want him to expand. I mean, that's.
Maybe if I could,
I can,
You-
but
you might want to just, who are you leaning toward as a group? One of the things I've found is sometimes papers are misleading 2 ways. Somebody can look really good on paper
Yeah.
and they'll walk in the door and you're going, holy mackerel, that's not what I read.
yeah.
Uh,
And maybe we should just focus
and-
on what we're looking for rather than what we're not looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, and on the other hand,
Yeah,
somebody can be understated on paper and blow your socks off in an interview.
yeah.
So the trick is to find the balance, because some people are really good at interviewing, some people aren't.
Mhm.
You know, I guess I would just say cautiously, whomever you're looking at, if you get a majority of people, it might be worth bringing them in. If you had a pool of 13 or 15, it'd be different. But you
Right.
got 5, so.
Well, that was my concern because we only have a pool of 5.
Correct.
Right.
And if we have folks that are not necessarily, I don't really necessarily like this. I mean, I'm not saying we can't pause something. We can sit here today too and say that, you know what, we're gonna pause again. I'm not happy with 5 applicants in the first place. From all this work, I'm not happy from when we had, and I wanna be straightforward with that since we advertised last year and we were in a short time frame. We got that explanation why it was a short time frame, but in also talking with MSBA and seeing candidate numbers for other superintendents around the state, that makes me wonder why. I'm not saying that I'm sitting up here and saying, hey, let's pause this, because we're not. We need to move. We need to move forward. But I'm very displeased that we only got five candidates. And why are we only getting 5 candidates? That's something that we have to ask ourselves as a board too.
Little
So
reflection,
what's that?
little reflection.
So I I just want to make sure that the board member, what I was trying to get at, Lynn, is make sure that the board members, if that not necessarily on their list, we have to make sure that's heard. I think at the end of the day, at least from my seat, myself, I'd like to see us move forward with at least interviewing 3 individuals.
I would
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
I think-
Yeah,
I
I think
agree.
we as a board can agree that, hey, we can't move forward unless we can figure out 3 individuals that we wanna interview. So I think maybe rather than going back and talking about the other ones, you just keep going. But I wanna make sure that the individuals, if it's me that's saying, hey, I don't like this one, we gotta make sure that we can at least have that conversation.
Sure.
I don't remember where you were. I
You've
think you
spun
were-
me in a circle, but.
Oh, you're at
There's
D-
2 left.
You're at D now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
D. So, D was on my list.
Mine as well.
Yes.
Well,
Yep.
Yep.
And E was not on my list.
he's not on that.
I guess this is why that I had E on my list, I guess. And I know it wasn't on MSBA's list as well, but the person comes from a place of diversity. And within our school district over the last 10, 12 years, diversity has really been seen. It's really seen in our classrooms. If you go back to when I graduated, there was very little diversity, and now you see it in every single classroom. You see it in sports, you see it everywhere. And then this person comes from that area. Also with this person, they talked about special education, and no one really else talked about what they did in special education other than this person. And then special education in our school district, we know that's a struggle, and it has been a struggle. And then the other thing that I thought was also kind of a little bit different was, you know, they have college prep stuff that they're doing within their school right now. And that's something that with the WAVE program that we have going on, can we get that to be better going into the future? I guess that's why I had him a little bit higher on my list than other people, but,
I'm with you, Josh. He was actually high on my list too.
and
It was,
yeah,
he talks about, they talk about increasing math scores and things like that in previous districts that they've worked at. They went and they were failing in math and reading scores, and they're now exceeding in math and reading scores, which really caught my attention for this person.
and I guess that just from all the information that they presented us, it at least made me want to be like, hey, I want to ask this guy or this person more questions. Sorry, I just want to ask them more questions to see,
You can't hire the people you don't interview.
right,
True.
yeah,
I would agree. So maybe we look at it from a different standpoint. We have their recommendations. We should maybe look at the 2 that they're not recommending and decide if we want to at least move forward with that.
Well, we did all say A was not on our list, so I think we.
Right.
can
Yeah.
cross that off.
and
Eliminate A.
I'm okay if we go to 4.
I would support hearing the communications up here for the 4th one to be added. The reason I didn't put the E on there is because the positions seem to be short-sighted. I did not, and that's merely what I looked at. I
Mhm.
looked at the position and the time in a position that was short-sighted.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as the longevity
What's,
of it,
what's,
yeah.
what's the story behind this? And to me, I don't even want to know the story, but I think when, as you
Yeah.
both are speaking, I can support. So I would say that
Support an
we,
Interview for sure.
Yeah, cause I can see the longevity. We want someone that's gonna be a longevity.
Yep.
And that person may not had that longevity, but what experience did they grab along the way?
Sure.
And possibly hit something that could be longevity.
So there seems to be four, B, C, D, and E, that some have a consensus on and some do not, but we all agree that we'd like to maybe interview them.
Yeah, even if they're not on my list, I would still.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
I'm open to that too. I didn't, just because they didn't
I just
jump
picked-
off the page at me, doesn't mean that I wouldn't be open to.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
what
I
they
just
have to
picked
say.
3 so I could have somewhere to start from where I wanted.
Correct, yeah,
That's all.
agreed. I think that's true too.
are we all in agreement that candidate A though,
I wanna-
not be interviewed?
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
And then hearing that, I'm gonna make him, do you need two motions, Lee, or would you just like the one? He's writing.
He's in thought.
So your motion,
We-
that's the direction you want to go?
Well, do you want to see, what my question is, would you like to see two motions, one eliminating, or you just want me to?
No, just one motion to offer an interview to the following candidates.
Letter.
B, C, D, E.
Okay, well, Madam Chair, I will make the motion that we offer an interview to the following candidates. Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo, or B, C, D, and E.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, before I release the information, and let's talk a little bit about schedule because I want to call them right away.
Yep.
And I need to know when to offer them, a time slot. Typically what I'll do, I'll call the person who's the farthest away first because they have the longest travel time, and whoever's closest, I'll call them last. And then it's up to whoever picks up the phone because they know you're meeting today. So would you look at your schedule then? If we're looking at 4 interviews, I don't know if you want to start in mid-morning and get done at the 3 o'clock time, or if you want to start right away in the morning and be done earlier. Keep the board break in there, or just push straight through and then have lunch and discussion after. Words is totally up to you.
I wanna make a note that March 4th is also the night of the potato
Potato
thing
thing.
at the high school. So I think we should
Go
also
earlier.
keep that in mind when we look at this schedule.
Yep.
Push
So there's that, that's all I
So
got.
go early and push through, right?
I think so.
Your deliberations could be quick, and I've seen them go an hour like a snap. So I can't predict how long your deliberations will take.
So
So-
if we start
Well-
earlier, then you give us a wiggle room.
I mean, if we do the same thing, we do candidate 1, 2, 3, we
Break.
might want to have a little break.
I will need to.
Yeah.
use
And then do candidate 4 at 12:30, and then our wrap up after that. We should be done by 3 o'clock. I would think.
I would think.
Okay, so then the school board deliberates at what,
It'd start around,
1:45?
it would, let's see,
1:45.
1:45 when the candidate would have done?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah.
Right?
Cause we don't have a,
I want a lunch in there.
yeah, we have, a-
Oh, okay. I want to make sure that we're not kicking.
we have a lunch.
Okay.
I thought you were talking,
No, no, no.
because we need breaks. I'm gonna get hangry at the end.
The half hour, is that enough?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just mattered just to clear
Very
our heads.
Get coffee or a big gulp for this guy.
Oh,
Running.
if I could, Lynn, what I'll do is rebuild the schedule and get it out to you, but I want to feed it back to you now, make sure that
Yep,
I'm in the
yes,
right spot. The first interview would be at 8:30, the second at 9:15, the third at 11, a short lunch break, and Nancy said she's going to bake for all of us.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
You said 9:15, but you.
No,
said
you didn't say
9:45,
that.
right?
9:45.
I hear things sometimes.
8:30 is
And
the first.
9:45 candidate 2,
Yeah.
11 o'clock candidate 3 lunch, and then candidate 4 at 12:30. And then at 1:45 we start. Now you notice I put asterisks in there, and the reason is that sometimes things have a way of modifying throughout the day. So
Yeah.
one candidate could only take 30 minutes to interview and the next candidate's sitting outside.
So do
You know, and I check with them to find out where they are and so on. And so you can accelerate the schedule.
Sure.
What's important is your start time on your job and your
Mhm.
posting, and Nancy can do that easily. So, okay. So with that said, let me review any last things that we have to do before I release the names and start phoning. I think I've done all the things I need to do. Are there questions that you have before I release the names?
Any questions?
Well, we talked about, you originally opened up with district tours.
Oh, right.
I guess I would recommend that we do district tours second.
Second interview.
Yep.
So address that
Yeah.
at the meeting on,
I'm sorry, I didn't.
so you opened up, tonight talking about district tours. And we never
Oh.
really talked about that.
Yeah, you could do, typically it's done in the second
Yeah.
interview.
Yeah,
I-
that's kind of what we're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah,
about.
second interview, because there are less people.
Yes.
And then you can have an extended time, et cetera. Now, I will say that there have been instances where a board has gone through a smaller group of interviews like this and a particular candidate stands out beyond your expectations.
Mhm.
You can do both interviews. There's nothing wrong with bringing a particular candidate back for a second interview. You do send us specific information or implication if you invite somebody back on their own for a second interview. Or you could offer it after the first interview. You can return 3, 2, 1 person, whatever you choose for the second interview. You have control over it. Just because we established a second date doesn't mean you have to. So just know that you have choices to do whatever. So with that being said, I need to look up one. Does anybody have their Revelis account open?
I do.
Yep. I need a job title
Okay,
for candidate,
I'm going to end your question.
for candidate E.
yeah,
If you wouldn't mind, look that up. I'll do that one last and that way. These are in no particular order, by the way. The numbers don't match the names that I'm gonna release. The first candidate, not the first, but a
executive
candidate.
director.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. And it's, I think I remember the district or the school. Correct me if I screw it up. Anyway, okay. First candidate, that I'll identify as, Superintendent Kevin Grover. He is in International Falls. The next candidate that I'll, identify is, LaShawn Ray, who is the executive director of the Hiawatha, Charter School, I believe.
Academy.
Academy?
It's a charter school, yeah.
Yeah, which is a charter school. Yeah, thank you. The next candidate I'll identify is Brian Hackbarth, who is the superintendent here. And the next candidate that I'll identify is Dave Wheeler, who is the superintendent in
Manville.
Manville. Thank you. So there's four candidates, so Kevin Grover, LaShawn Ray, Brian Hackbarth and Dave Wheeler. And I'm gonna contact them now, so if you give me a little grace, as soon as they get done, I'll see if I can't get them scheduled and then we'll go from there. Any other questions? Things will happen really fast now, so don't be afraid to reach out if you have questions.
Oh, well,
Yeah, we'll collect the questions if you don't
okay,
mind.
well, hold on, let me write my note down then of what I wanted to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, write your note down, Lindsay, so we can discuss.
They need the candidates too.
I'll
They're
go
all
through
right.
my
they're all
notes.
right. That's
Right,
right.
we're piling them here, but I had added to something. As its first round. Okay, number 5 in round 2 it was, right? Round 2.
Do we have anything left to
Yeah.
discuss?
it's
Okay.
on the board agenda here.
Yeah, for us,
A
we
little
do,
bit,
but not
we'll
with
go real quick. 'cause
Lee. Lee's good. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we have a couple other things.
Hold on, I'm writing it down.
Yep.
I will get it. Yeah, perfect.
We have.
Okay, that
The rest
generally,
of the notes he made, they were just like, add this last part, right? That was just.
Okay.
No, you don't have to, you can skip it. Yeah, there was no, I mean,
I got a
you
cool
just.
bunch of stuff
Go on to
here.
11.
Just notate,
Yeah.
just go right,
Here.
right to 11.
Okay.
Wait.
All right.
I'm not done.
Or, actually, go to 10, district business, no district business tonight, so move into 11.
So we're gonna go on to item number 10, district business, and there is no district business tonight, so we're gonna go on to item number 11, which is board member comments. And so Josh, I'll start with you tonight.
I just want to thank Lee for taking his time coming up here and we'll hash out this superintendent search and get some interviews done and get the job taken care of.
Lindsay?
No comments. Yeah, this is gonna be a whirlwind, but it's gonna be good and hopefully we, that's strong person in the leadership role.
Brandon?
No, none tonight.
Okay.
I don't have anything.
Okay.
tonight.
I also don't. I appreciate Lee coming up and Nancy. I know you helped him a lot, so thank you. And very excited to get this moving, so. I didn't approve the agenda. We didn't have anything
No,
on the agenda.
No, we didn't. So we had the consent agenda. Which was approved. And then the other,
Oh, wait, there's no board business.
We went right into Lee.
There was an
There was-
agenda, wasn't it?
You probably should
Oh.
have.
because we didn't have district, yeah, let's try to figure that out. Let me try to run with that.
So,
I'll make a motion,
yeah,
because we have to have it for the record, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve the agenda that was presented to us tonight, less district business, there was no district business, so I think that should suffice, Nancy, just to.
Yeah. I can second that. Yeah.
Yeah,
All those
that
in
was all-
favor?
That was all.
Aye.
Aye.
Approving what we did tonight? All those opposed?
Yeah, that was all.
Alright.
right.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense.
12, the next Board of Education meeting, March 11th at 5:30.
March
No.
4th.
We're starting right in the morning.
Well, I
At
mean,
8.
that's the interview meeting, yes, but the regular board meeting is on the 11th. But yes, interviews are on March 4th, starting at 8:30.
So, but that's an official board meeting, so.
Okay, y'all. March 4th, interviews, 8:30 or 8:25. March 11th, regular board meeting at 5:30, all in this room. Who wants to adjourn this regular meeting?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
I'll second.
all those in favor?
I.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed?